What's up, Jet fans? This is GreenBean coming to you live from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's a hazy day, but it is beautiful. I want to just show you. You see this beach? I was just recording a video for Jetnation, and I just kept walking. And I've been lost for the past, I don't know, 20 minutes. There's no distinguishing characteristics. There's nothing. And I don't know where I was. So I'm just gonna grab this thing and talk to you guys while I try to find my way home. So wish me luck. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. It's the thing, you can't get all jammed up about this kind of stuff. But before we get into the content, I want to remind you to please subscribe to this video. It's real easy. There's a little red subscribe button right below the video. Click it and that's the end of that. If you like the content, by all means, feel free, give me a like. That's good as well. If you'd like to see what else I'm doing out here, why am I in Myrtle Beach? Why was I in Florida and Atlanta? What's going on with this freaky bearded dude? You can go to Full-Time Coaster Tour on YouTube and see what it is I'm doing out here as I try to take my children on every roller coaster in the United States before they think I'm uncool, which is coming, by the way. It's begun. So I'd like to talk to you guys about some things that we may have learned from the first couple days or weeks of free agency. So we went into free agency and a lot of us thought there's no way that Joe Douglas isn't coming out of this one with Joe Thuney or the fallback Corey Linsley, right? Who thought that who thought that we wouldn't? I mean, we were told, you know, Connor Hughes, Rich Cimini, all the other guys, they said the Jets' priority in free agency is Joe Thuney and the fallback would be Linsley. So we found out pretty quickly that Thuney wasn't coming. He was going to the Chiefs and Linsley went over to the Chargers and there we were, standing there. And then we come around the mountain and we sign a linebacker that many Jets fans never even heard of. What's that? Look at this. What do you think of that? It's military. Imagine being in a place where if you saw that, you'd be running for cover. We're very fortunate in this country. Yeah, they're military for sure. Let me walk this way, since I have no idea where I am anyway. So we sign a linebacker, and Jets fans went berserk, right? So as we floated through free agency, we saw that maybe the priorities were a little bit different than we were told they were, which, like I've said more than once, it shows you a very strong positive for this organization we have right now, which is that there aren't many leaks, okay? Which is just the best positive. Sure, we all hear stuff and we talk and we say stuff, but it's like, the truth is that we're not, you know, what we thought was going to happen did not happen. So we know now that their free agency priorities were in fact Joe Thuney, Corey Davis, and Carl Lawson. So we got 2 out of 3. And as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So it's pretty good, actually. So we got 2 of our 3 priorities. But you can see, as, you know, guards like, you know, Gabe Jackson and some other guys got signed. It's like, it doesn't look like the Jets are really, you know, anxious to sign one of them, right? Same thing goes for cornerbacks, right? We haven't really signed a cornerback yet. We've signed a defensive tackle. We've signed like I said, an edge rusher, a couple of receivers, a backup guard at best. You know, clearly not coming in to compete for a starting job. So what is it that we're learning here? Are we learning that Joe Douglas sucks? Is that what it is? Now, believe me, I talk to plenty of guys on either Jets Twitter or YouTube or Jetnation. I think that's exactly what it is. We're seeing the ineptitude of a guy who has somehow won over this fan base, most of us, and he hasn't done anything. Missed out on his top priority, missed out on the second guy in that priority list, and grabbed a bunch of nickels and dimes off the floor. Keelan Cole, Justin Hardy, those types of guys. So maybe that's true. Maybe it's true. Maybe that, you know, just the idea that he's missing out on the obvious priority, which is offensive line. He took a few swings last year, and they didn't work out. So maybe Joe Douglas, who's been touted as an offensive line guru, maybe he's not that. Maybe he sucks at this, right? And that's very possible. But let me present to you another possibility, another potentiality. It shows you something that, you know, the offseason is not free agency, okay? Free agency is one facet of the offseason. You have a salary cap, you have to spend so much, and you can't spend too much, right? So you have to use your cap, you got to try to get guys in, and all that sort of stuff. So you have a situation where you're going to use, now a lot of teams like the Jets have used free agency to bolster their team, to create their roster. Now, why would you do that? You do that because your draft picks aren't working out. So you drafted a defensive end, or you drafted a wide receiver, a Darius Stewart, Chad Hansen, and they suck, and they didn't work out, Devin Smith, you know? So what do you got to do? You got to go in free agency and try to grab one. And when you do that, you end up overpaying and all that sort of stuff. So when you look at the situation we have now, which is Joe Douglas got his number one target at wide receiver. Now, you can disagree with it. You know, he should have gotten Galladay or whoever. That's fine. But that was his number one target. He grabbed him. He goes and gets an edge rusher. Just signed a second edge rusher in Vinny Curry, which, when's the last time we saw two edge rushers brought in the same year, right? So when you look at the positions that he's drafting, that he's signing, without the urgency to sign other positions, one of the things we can deduce is that he does not think that overpaying a subpar guy at this position is better than drafting a guy at that position. Now, when do you lean on the draft, and how do you know which positions to do so? So when you look at guard and interior offensive line is a really good one, actually, because it just so happens that this interior offensive line class is a very good one. Now, I'm not going to go and tell you it's the greatest ever or anything like that, but there are probably 15 guys at the center and guard position that are absolutely worthy of thinking that they're going to be an immediate contributor, okay? Whether it's the guys up top, like, Vera Tucker or Wyatt Davis or Trey Smith or Creed Humphrey and Josh Myers, all the way down to the Ben Clevelands of the world. The Alaric Jacksons, when you start moving over to tackles that might end up being guards and such, right? So there is a lot to do in the draft at this position. Now, if you're going to grab Joe Thuney, that's great, right? Yes, I'm going to go for Joe Thuney. That's the one guy that I would think is a lock enough that I'm willing to pay. But then once he's gone, we've seen very little attention to the offensive line so far. And that's not to say that maybe a Nick Easton isn't coming in, or some other guys. There's a few out there that are quality. I happen to like Nick Easton a great deal. I remember 2 years ago I wanted Mac to sign him and he didn't. Had him in the building and let him go. Duh. So the conclusion that we can draw is that Joe Douglas feels a lot better about the offensive line class than he does about the offensive line free agent class, right? So are you going to pay Trey Turner, who a great player, but who probably wants, $10 million, whatever it is, who's been injured the last couple of years? Are you going to pay him to come in and potentially be injured and fight through all this stuff when you can concentrate on offensive line in the draft and grab Wyatt Davis at 23, or Vera Tucker for that matter. Or you can go offensive line, center, and move McGovern to guard, which I still think, I'm feeling like that might be the thing they do. I don't have any real reasons, but I feel like that's real. So the thing that we can take from free agency, remember, Joe Douglas told us he's going to build this team through the draft. So the one-year contracts, which is just a video I shot for Jetnation, there's a thought process here. When you sign guys in free agency, specific types of guys, there's a thought process here. Now, when you grab two edge rushers, you get Carl Lawson, who's clearly being brought in to be he's being brought in to be our starter. Vinny Curry is more than likely being brought in to be rotational, to strengthen the reserve. When you sign a guy like Rankins, it starts to make you think that maybe these guys that we're all so high on, Kyle Phillips, Nathan Shepard, we're like, oh, we have a great defensive line. Maybe Joe Douglas doesn't feel the same way and would rather spend his draft capital on offensive linemen and elite edge rushers than he would defensive tackles. So do you see what we're saying? You see what I'm saying here? You can learn some things about what when the free agent class looks a certain way. Sure, you can take the low-hanging fruit, which is he sucks and he missed out on everybody. He's a cheapskate. He nickel and dimes everybody and nobody wants to come here, which I think there's probably some truth to. He has a budget and he's holding to it. He's got an evaluation, a value that he places on people, and he's sticking to it. But he has 9 picks in this draft. And when you have all the holes that we have, 9 picks goes quickly, especially when a lot of them are in the back end, right? He's got more than 1 5th and 6th round picks this year. 2 firsts, 1 second, 2 thirds. So that's 5. He has no 4ths and no 7ths. So the rest are in the 5th and 6th round. So that's 4 guys in the 5th and 6th round. You can't think that they're going to come in and start. And that's where the one-year contracts come in. You grab your 5th round pick, offensive lineman, or defensive, an edge rusher, and you let him sit behind Vinny Curry for a year, get some playing time. You let Zuniga sit behind Vinny Curry and Carl Lawson and learn the game. Okay? So what this does, and this is the perfect way to use free agency. I got to turn around. I really don't know where I am. I'm serious. I have no idea. I just don't know where I am. It's such a blank canvas. So the proper way to use free agency is to use it to give you flexibility in the draft, and it takes away one very bad, very poor angle to the draft, which is reaching for need. It's the worst thing you can do in the draft. Besides just blowing it and picking guys that suck. But when you reach for need, it's a bad deal. And when you get guys in at certain positions that can contribute for 1 year, you can concentrate on the other holes where the draft is strong. Where is this draft strong? Wide receiver, offensive line, quarterback. And then you get into the edge, and then tight end is another very strong outfit. This is a very good tight end class, guys. So yes, we were in on Jonnu Smith. We drove up the price for the Patriots, and we said, look, we're not going to pay that much because you know what? Brevin Jordan and Kenny Yeboah are going to be sitting there in the 3rd, and I'm going to grab him there. And they're going to be great. So that's the thing. So anyway, when we look at this stuff, I think it's really a good practice not to get caught up in the immediate signing itself, but what the collection looks like. I even think they're still going to draft another running back in the 5th. That's what I think. I think Chuba Hubbard or Kylan Hill. Kylan Hill would be my favorite guy outside of Najee Harris. If you haven't seen Kylan Hill, check him out. But I still think they're going to do that. Why? Because you know, Tevin Coleman isn't our solution. Maybe Josh Adams is, maybe LaMichael Pirine are for the rotational aspect of our group. But why not bring in a Chubba Hubbard? Why not bring in a Kylan Hill? Why not bring in a Jared Patterson? Right? So anyway, these are some potential things we may have learned from free agency. I'd love to know what you think. As you know, I try my best to return all inquiries. I can't anymore. It's getting too much to get everybody, but I try. I try to read every single comment that comes in. So, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can always go over to Jetnation's YouTube channel as well and sub over there. That's where my On the Road with GreenBean show is. And don't forget, Full-Time Coaster Tour. Even if you just want to be nice to me, go over there and sub. I'd appreciate it. You have a great day. I'm going to try to find my way home. Go Jets.